Yo, what's happening, world? Name's Raheem Flowers, and I gotta say, rest in peace to our brother. I think his name is Ahmad Aubrey. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's our brother from Georgia who passed not too long ago, February 25th, which is the day after my dad's birthday. This year, 2020, by two dudes who were said to be two white supremacists. And I saw their faces. One of them looked like one of those big, buff dudes in higher learning who was bigging up Remy. And I gotta say, man, as a black man who is somebody who proactively exercise, I have nothing but empathy, sympathy for that family and for that brother who passed away. With that being said, though, let me say this. We all know what the catalyst was. We all know what kickstarted this BS that we see with a catalog of black people getting killed. I just think about it. I'm talking about Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman. See, people gonna think that I'm just on some conspiracy theorist stuff, but I don't give a fuck, because this is just truth. Isn't it peculiar that Trayvon Martin's father was a Freemason? Does anybody ever think to themselves that Trayvon Martin was a part of some sort of ritualism? He was part of a ritualistic process to keep people just fighting amongst each other so there could be control, more jurisdiction from the powers that be. Like, you would think that George Zimmerman would have paid the price and immediately been dealt with after dealing with the son of a Mason. And this is all way to basic. And then you have all these dudes out here. You already know all them niggas in the so-called black sector of YouTube. I've named the names multiple times in my videos. I ain't here to name drop like Game the rapper. I'm just here to lay down the facts. You have all these cats out here who are gonna sit here and do all this race hustling and race baiting, Al Sharpton, and Jesse Jackson, and preaching all damn day. You're gonna have these niggas doing all that BS instead of actually doing something that creates more positive, progressive results. They don't even really call out the enemies. It's not the small hats per se, but it's people who are within that circle that are the enemies. So I never want people to get it twisted as if I'm trying to incite and instigate some sort of hate towards even these Caucasian Jewish people. Jewish. I'm not doing that with the small hats. I'm just saying though, look, it's a hard time. We already have to deal with this airborne bio warfare, but now we have to continue with the spiritual and psychological warfare, because this is racism. There's no dancing around it. You know, I'm not one to cry about racism and white supremacy and talk this Black Lives Matter BS. This was all fucked up. Travis McMichael, I believe his father's name was George McMichaels. Y'all gonna have to answer for that. But see, if black people really had the tenacity like everybody else, all these other outside forces, he would be dealt with immediately. They would be dealt with immediately, excuse me. I mean, look, man, it's one thing to be sad and have tears, especially for the family. But for everybody else, man, if you're not gonna sit here and confront those dudes, at least call out the BS that's going on within it. Whether we talk about the race baiters, whether we talk about the white liberals, whether we talk about people who are not saying anything constructive, and just point out the fact that this is people trying to pin, like we're pinned up against each other in the worst of times, or, well, I guess a pandemic. Meek Mill said something. I saw it posted, one of my YouTube homies, R&B realist, shout out to that brother. Don't really use his account, but anywho, where Meek Mill was basically saying, I'm just gonna paraphrase and give a summary. He was saying how when you're from the hood, that's a pandemic every day. Wondering what the next meal you're gonna eat, wondering if you could go outside safe in the environment and how hazardous it is. You know, I mean, I'm not from the hood, but you know, I've been immersed in that atmosphere, and I have best friends who are from the worst parts of Chicago, like Cabrini Green. And me dating a young lady from the south side of Chicago. So I'm sure they can attest to what Meek Mills is saying, but that's not where struggle always begins and ends. Because when you think about the ghetto is a Hebrew term. That's not even something that was conceptualized for so-called blacks. That was conceptualized for these Caucasian Jews you see these days. These little Sarfitic and Ashkenazis, but I don't want to digress from the point. See, people, if you want to make a change, then you got to start being an enforcer on the community. Just like people did in yesteryear. They did it more so during yesteryear. Whether it was Marcus Garvey, whether it was brothers like Fred Hampton. And even if I don't agree with all their beliefs and philosophies, I still respect the actions behind it. Robert F. Williams. You have people who were big on gun control. And you even got brothers like Maj these days. Like, I'm always going to respect the brothers and the sisters out there who are doing constructive things and who really want to better the so-called black community. Because that is a step forward right there. Talking about it, doing something about it, and just doing things to make your life better. Ultimately making those around you's lives better, which thus far will make the world better. It's all a chain reaction. You know what I mean? I don't like to get caught up in the race argument because they're just trying to bait and use your emotion. It's just like Bruce Lee says, when you don't have control over your emotion, guess what? People are going to use that to their advantage to have control over you. And that's basically what the powers that be's been doing since Trayvon Martin passed.